Welcome everyone to another episode of Power Core Productions and Podcastings. I'm your host, Jerron Harrington, back to hit you with another video. And today we're going to be continuing and concluding Season 3 of What If Deku Was a Power Ranger? Heroes of the Morphing Grid Part 8. This part is basically going to cover all of My Hero Academia Season 3, so you'll be seeing that it will be a bit longer than most videos. Before we get into it, as always, I want to thank everyone who supports Power Core Productions and Podcastings. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is Power Core Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future, as we are on the road to 1K and beyond, and we'll be hitting 1K rather soon. So I also want to thank you all for that. We've come a long way since the reboot of this channel, the rebranding, and I am truly thankful and grateful for all of your support. It truly means a lot to me. So from the bottom of my heart and everyone here at Power Core Productions and Podcastings, thank you. Now we're going to be concluding this intro a little earlier since we have a story to get into. So as always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. The situation had proved to be dire. The summer camp was shut down immediately. Pro heroes as well as local authorities were called all around to investigate what had happened. Many of the students had to be taken to the hospital due to the effects of the gas. The country was in a panic and many were in an uproar. UA was not being seen in the best of lights. With all the recent villain attacks, it seemed as though the faith in pro heroes was starting to waver. David Shields was also recovering from his attack by Rita as well. He and All Might especially distraught now that Melissa had been taken. All Might in particular was pissed. It wasn't very often that he ever reached this point in his career, but this was one of the few moments where he did not have a smile on his face. Not only had he failed to save those who he cared for the most, but now he lost someone who was like his own family. Melissa was his goddaughter in a sense, someone he would drop anything to save. Now knowing that she was gone in the clutches of the villains, well, this did not sit well with him at all. Mr. Aizawa in the meantime did not have too long to stay with his students, as he possessed ranger powers, that being the powers of Ninjor. He would be recruited for the villain hunt team, his power being known particular in what could aid in potential rescue and the defeat of the villains. However, he would advise his students to leave it to the pros, especially speaking to the 6 rangers who he were in charge of, as they would get to work on tracking the League of Villains thanks to the tracker that Momo had managed to place on one of the Nomu that passed by during the attack. The students would be talking amongst themselves of what to do, and they would be divided, meaning unsure of what action they should take. Among them, Bakugo would be the most angered, as he would get up and look out the window, gritting his teeth as he stormed off wanting to go and find Melissa. A few of the other rangers would chase behind him as they tried to speak to him. Kachan, I understand how you feel, but shut up, you damn nerd! I don't want to hear it from you! But where are you going? Bakugo, you can't just go running off doing whatever you want. Did I ask you anything icy hot? You keep talking your shit, and I'm gonna blow you to pieces! Now, Bakugo, you don't have to be like that. The heroes are going to do what they can. Momo, now isn't the time. Listen, I understand how you feel, Bakugo. I once wanted revenge myself. But as true heroes, we have to be able to do as we're told. That's your problem, you damn nerd. You, Four Eyes, Pink Cheeks, all of you. All you ever want to do is play by the rules. And guess what? In the end, people get hurt because of it. Well, I'm not going to wait. If the heroes are going to take their precious time, then I'm going to go in there and save her myself. Ida would rush to Bakugo, now starting to lose his cool himself, as he would grab him by the shoulder. "That's enough, Bakugo! I understand how you feel, but we were given specific orders not to leave. And given the gravity of our situation, I can't just let you go off and do whatever you want. You've got 4 seconds to get your damn hand off my shoulder, Four Eyes, before I blow him off. If that's what it takes." The two of them would rev their quirks up, almost as if they were getting ready for a fight. Both Todoroki and Deku would get in between them, trying to keep the peace. "Look, you two fighting isn't going to get us anywhere. Bakugo, I understand if it's hurting." "You damn right! She was right there. I could have saved her. I could have done something. But I couldn't, because I wasn't strong enough. One of our own teammates was taken. How do you think I feel? Do you know how fucking angry I am? She just handed me the damn power coin. She already accepted her fate. If it were All Might, if it were anyone else, they would have been able to save her, no problem. But what are we supposed to do? It doesn't matter how hard we try. We're just simply not going to be good enough the way we are now. Well, I refuse to let things be like that. What the hell are we, huh? We're the fucking Power Rangers. We're supposed to be able to save anyone, no matter what the cost. From what I've been told, the other Rangers didn't wait around for permission or for help. So why should we? Why should we be any different?" As the students would speak amongst themselves, Alpha would come walking from the school building. The others would turn to see him, as he looked upon the Rangers and the conflict that was brewing amongst them. He could understand the frustration. I understand how Bakugo feels." "Huh? Alpha?" "Yes. You see, Bakugo has a point. During times of peril, the Rangers never had to wait in order to jump into action. To be a Power Ranger means that one must always be ready to put their lives on the line. That's how it's always been. But even now, I believe that Melissa is strong in her own way. She is not someone who we should worry or view as weak. However, at the same time, as a Ranger, we live by the creed that no Ranger should be left behind. And plus, there are far greater threats out there in the world. Not just the League of Villains or Rita Repulsa. There is also the threat of Lord Draken, wherever he may roam in the multiverse. I cannot tell you whether you should or shouldn't go, but I can say that the time will come when you will have no choice but to be called into action. And I must ask, on that day, what will you do? Will you cower behind bureaucracy, or will you stand and do what is right?" All of the Rangers now stood, not sure of what they should do with that. Of course, in everyone's hearts, they knew that saving Melissa was what they wanted to do. But was it what they were supposed to do? Deku would be the first to speak up from amongst them all. "Guys, I know we'd be breaking the rules if we go. But Melissa, she put her faith in us. And now we have to be able to pay it back. I don't know about all of you, but if Kacchan's going to go, then I'm going to go with him." "But Deku, I understand, Ida. But if there was something that I could do, and I knew that I could do it, and I chose not to, then how could I ever call myself a hero? A hero is someone who can save anyone with no problem with a smile on their face. That's something that I live by, and I am not going to allow Melissa to be taken away by those villains. Not when there's something that I can do, that we can do. If we have the chance to do something, then we have to do it. Everyone would be in awe of Deku's words. Even if they didn't want to admit it, they knew that they had to. Uraraka would be the first to stand beside Deku, grabbing his hand and assuring him that she would stand beside him no matter what. Momo and Todoroki would stand together as well. Ida, while disappointed, would also agree to go along with his comrades. And Bakugo, even though he didn't face them, to himself, he had a little smile. As Momo would take out the tracking device, the Rangers would all have their morphers ready, along with their dino bucklers, as they would search out immediately, heading towards the villains. In the meantime, Rita Repulsa would be standing inside of the secret location with the other members of the League of Villains, as Melissa lay on the ground unconscious. So, is this what you wanted, huh? No, not at all. I was ordered by Lord Draken to retrieve the power coins. The morpher is practically worthless, so there's no reason to take it from her. Either way, I just want to know, who are these Power Rangers? Huh. Well, you don't have Power Rangers in your world? Not until fairly recently, no. But they've been a particular nuisance for me. Them, All Might, and all these damn wannabe heroes. Well, if I had to give a brief explanation, the Power Rangers are a group of teenage heroes, if you will. They derive their power from the morphing grid. This can be done in various ways to various effects. They exist all throughout time and space, but for some reason there are dimensions that don't have Rangers for whatever reason. These ones in particular got their hands on the power coins. Powers based upon that of prehistoric animals that once roamed this Earth, or a version of your Earth to be more precise. Since then, Lord Draken has been trying to track them down, although he's been tracking down Rangers from across the multiverse, so there's no telling when or if he'll get here or in whatever time. Also, he's been dealing with a bit of injury as of late, as he's engaged in a war on KO-35 with the Space Rangers. So he may be inoperable for some time. That is why he has sent people like me here. People like you. Yes, I believe you saw someone not too long ago named Rancic. Do you mean the guy who can make weapons out of bone or whatever? Ah, yes. Lord Rancic was recruited from a particular multiverse where Lord Draken had defeated the Time Force Rangers, being recruited into his special army. We of the special army go out in the name of Lord Draken and do as he commands. I see. So you're no different then, are you, sorcerer? Oh no, not at all. Even with all of my power, I dare not challenge Lord Draken. However, all the same, I do have my own goals and ambitions, and I personally loathe the Rangers. Very well. Would you be willing to spare anything else? I mean, as a favor to me, for helping you capture the Rangers. I'm not sure what I could give you that would be of any use, but I do think a reward would be in order. Rita would look to her staff, as she would pull out a particular object before handing it to Shigaraki. And what is this? Well, You could say it's a morpher of sorts, although it doesn't need a power coin. That piece of tech is connected to the morphing grid, but I have never really been able to do anything with it myself. You see, I had the green power coin for my universe, but in exchange for my life, it was given to Lord Draken, so in the end, it's practically just an empty shell. But you might find some use for it, depending on what you do, of course. I see. Well, I thank you for the generosity. Shigaraki would take the piece of tech and put it in his pocket. He wasn't sure what he was going to do with it now, but he figured he'd find use for it at some point in time. As Melissa was pretending to be unconscious, she would hear of everything that were going on, saying a silent prayer as she hoped All Might or the Rangers would get to her in time. Not too far out, the heroes would be preparing their raid teams. One team would be sent to the location where the Nomu was, while the other would be sent to the location where the League of Villains had been spotted. All Might not hesitating to smash into the room, finding Melissa and picking her up, as he would be prepared to smash and destroy all of the villains in his path. However, it would be in that moment when the warp gate would begin to open. A great sludge would appear and would start to sting everyone into a different location. The location to where the other heroes had gone where they had found the Nomu. However, now they had come into contact with something different. As the Rangers were not too far behind from the tracker, they too could sense the great evil that was upon them. Inside of the warehouse, there would be no one but a man. A man who would be wearing a weird-like face mask, and then a suit. As he would introduce the heroes to none other than the true face behind the League of Villains. The one known as All for One. All for One would steal Pixie Bob's quirk before laying waste to the entire facility, destroying a large chunk of the area, the heroes being blown back in every which direction, as All Might and the other members of the League of Villains would appear. All Might now looking angered as he would come face to face with All for One. Ah, yes. If it isn't a symbol of peace, All Might. All for One. How dare you take her away? Ah, the girl. I see you and David are still friends. Do give him my regards. I'll give him your regards when I send you to prison, you monster! All Might would then lunge at All for One, preparing to deliver a United States of Smash. However, it would be quickly countered, as All for One would grab his hand before flinging him into one of the burning buildings. As All for One and All Might would engage in their battle, Melissa would be surrounded by the League of Villains. The other Rangers would try to devise a plan to get her back. However, before they even had a chance to decide anything, they would immediately jump into action. Bakugo not hesitating as he would deliver a massive amount of explosions to all the areas. Melissa looking up to see that it was Bakugo, as he would reach out and destroy her restraints before picking her up. The other Rangers, now seeing that they had no choice but to get involved, would rush in, countering a few members of the League of Villains, everyone pairing off to face their own respective foe. As the lines were now being drawn in the sand, Rita would then show up as well. However, she would quickly be countered, as now the Ninja Ranger, Mr. Aizawa, had appeared. Oh man, those kids are definitely going to get it when we get back to school. But in the meantime, hey! You guys, get her out of here. I'll hold this one off. Mr. Aizawa would then take out his sword, as Rita would stand firm with her staff, the two of them engaging in combat as the Rangers and the villains would now be squaring off. All for One would be looking around and combing the area to see what was going on, seeing that now there were more children involved, that they were fighting with his younger league of villains. Whoever this Ninja Ranger was, more than likely the Eraserhead hero, Mr. Aizawa, was facing off with the one known as Rita Repulsa. And then finally there were these rock-like monsters that were appearing out of nowhere, that now the Rangers had to deal with more putties also. Well, it seems I'm not the only one who's been busy recruiting, All Might? Well now, I never thought I'd see the day when you'd have to get children to fight your battles for you. My, how the mighty have fallen. All Might would be angered and pissed off more and more every time All for One would speak, to the point where Gran Torino would have to step in to try to get his student under control and to stay focused on the task at hand, the defeat of All for One. As the group had created distance, they would feel the ground begin to shake from underneath them. Unsure of what they were supposed to do, they would create distance and move away as the ground began to move like an earthquake. From under it, a large, gelatinous glob of gold would begin to appear, before eventually standing almost as tall as Mount Lady, as Rita would look up and reveal that her monster Goldar was now in his evolution form. The Rangers now knew that they were going to need backup if they were going to defeat something that big. As everyone got ready, Melissa would be given back her power coin, and she would thank them as they would morph together, summoning their Zords immediately that would be called from the pocket dimension. As the Zords would appear to be almost coming from under the ground, the White Tiger Zord, as well as the 5 Ranger Zords and the Dragon Zord would be together again. Melissa would change the White Tiger Zord into battle mode, along with the other 5 Rangers, the core ones coming together to use the Megazord. Deku wasn't sure of what to do with the Dragon Zord, however he could command it with his flute. He would do so from a distance and use the Dragon Zord with the commandment to aid the other Rangers in any way that they would need. The Dragon Zord's eyes would light up as he would agree, going to help the other Rangers as they would face off against the Goldar monster. It would take some getting used to, as their driving and mechanical skills were not as great as they should be. However, this is where Melissa would take front, not just for her abilities as a ranger, but also for her high intellect. She would coach and guide the Rangers in what to do when it came to using their Zords, teaching them how to pilot while on the fly, communicating to them from a distance. The White Tiger Megazord would take charge, going up against Goldar with its sword, while the other Megazord and the Dragon Zord would come in for backup, the Dragon Zord using its spitting tail as a way to attack the monster's being, as well as using the missiles that it had to locate the enemy, while the Megazord would use its also sword to stab from a blind spot in order to attack the beast. A few of the other pro heroes would look up in awe, not sure of what to expect. They were surprised to see that these kids, who were so young and who should have been inexperienced, were holding their own against a monstrous villain like that. Even Mount Lady, as she came back too, she would question if she were even needed at this point. However, they too would strengthen their own resolve, Mount Lady growing into size to be similar to that of the Megazords, as she would move and grab the Goldar monster by the arm, holding it outstretched, as Melissa would use her sword to cut through, while the other 5 Rangers would use the regular Megazord to cut off the other arm, before Deku's Dragon Zord would deliver the killing blow, that being a barrage of missiles directly at its armless chest, blowing it up and destroying it into pieces. Mount Lady and the others would be thrilled at their victory, as they would demorph from the Zords, now going back into their regular Ranger forms, as the Zords would now be uncalled for as that fight was over. As they would turn to see how the battle was going with All Might, things were starting to look a bit more dire. All Might had not underestimated just how powerful All for One would be. However, he had no idea that his power could truly be as amazing as it was. All for One seemingly getting the better of All Might. Even if All Might had not given away his quirk yet, this was still no easy task, and the injury that he had sustained 5 years ago was rearing its ugly head right at this moment. The other Rangers would rush to All Might's side, attempting to use their power to shield him. However, All for One would use a massive blast of energy, blowing them all away and scattering them in every which direction. The blast would be so powerful that the Rangers would demorph, and even more so, All Might would start to deflate a bit, the public watching on as they would see the symbol of peace now in a weakened state, unsure of what to do at this moment. They had never seen All Might like this. They had no idea who these other Rangers were, or who these strange new heroes were at all. Everyone would now be on edge, as they were unsure of if this was going to be the end. Some trying to cheer on for their hero. However, they were starting to lose hope in the presence of All for One. My. So this is your symbol of peace. This is what you people have put your hope into? This pathetic excuse of a man whose power comes in relying on your smiles and your hopes. How foolish have you all been? You have become so deluded in your time of peace. You've become so disillusioned that you now let children fight your battles. Well, no more. You see, I am going to issue in the new era. The era that will do away with all of your heroes. For your heroes are nothing more but false gods who you cling to. False ideologies and hopes. The idea that you can save everyone. The idea that you can have it all. I do say, All Might, your very philosophy is insulting to me. For someone who proves to be virtuous, you are but as greedy as the name of my own quirk, All for One. And I must say, even now in your failures, even your sensei would be disappointed in you. Nana Shimura. I remember her fondly. I remember the look on her face when I took her breath away, when she fell at my hands. How would she feel if she saw how you've let everyone down, All Might? Not just everyone, but even her own family. All Might would look up confused, unsure of what he was saying. Oh, did I not tell you? Well, you see, Nana had a grandson. You might know him. His name was Tomura Shigaraki. All Might would be appalled. It couldn't possibly be true. That boy. That couldn't be. If it was, then what did All Might had now fallen to. Torino would be trying to speak to him, trying to tell him to strengthen his resolve and to not lose faith. However, All Might was now starting to waver. The expectations, the crushing blows, everything had finally gotten to him. He wasn't sure of what to do at this moment. Just as it seemed all hope was lost, when it seemed as though nothing or no one could stand a chance, one boy would stand to face All for One. It would be a green-haired boy with his clothes tattered, as he would look to the villain fiercely. And just who are you? My name is Izuku Midoriya, and I am a Power Ranger. Really now? And just how is that going to help you? You don't get it. You don't get to win here. I won't let you. You won't let me? If All Might couldn't defeat me, what makes you think you will stand a chance? Because he's not alone. That's right, he has us. We'll stand with him. We're not afraid of you. All 7 of you. My. All Might, what have you been teaching these children? Please, kids, run away. Don't stay. If you do, you'll... It's okay, All Might. If we can't stand up now, then we're never going to be able to. Protecting this world should not be on the solace of one man. It should be all of us. That's why we're not going to run. We are going to stay, and we are going to fight. Deku would take a step forward, everyone standing behind him at the ready. If this proved to be their last battle, then there was no better way for it to end. Are you guys ready? Ready! It's morphin' time! Tyrannosaurus! Mastodon! Pterodactyl! Triceratops! Saber-toothed tiger! White tiger! Dragonzord! We're here and we're ready to morph into action. 7, working together to stop evil. You and all of your menacing villains who seek destruction and chaos, from destroying our planet Earth and ruling the universe with fear. Even if it costs us our lives, we will never back down or surrender to you. We will go beyond, plus ultra, because we are the Power Rangers. Rangers, let's go! Deku would lead the charge first with his dragon dagger at the ready. All for One would use his mighty fist in order to block him. However, before he would get the chance, Bakugo would jump ahead of Deku, sending out a large, stunning explosion. One that would distract him just long enough for Uraraka to attack with her bows from a distance. The attacks would stun All for One, as Momo and Ida would move fiercely to his left and to his right, each one feigning to attack from a blinding area, one that he would not be able to stop. It's useless, children. All for One would shoot out a massive wave of energy, blowing off the Blue and the Yellow Ranger, as Melissa would outstretch her arms with her elastic quirk, using Saba, the White Tiger's saber, to slash away at All for One. That would be catching him off guard for a brief moment, as Deku would emit his green flames that would be met by All for One in his own flames, a dark flame quirk, the two of them colliding with one another. The 7 Rangers fighting off the villain, doing the best that they could at that moment. All Might would be in awe of his students. It was something that he had never expected before. To see them giving it their all, to see them working and trying so hard, no matter what the odds. Gran Torino would look to All Might. Yoshinori, I've seen many crazy things in my life, but I have to say these 7 have to be the dumbest bunch I've ever seen. And you know what? Right now, we need that kind of stupidity. Those children put their faith in you. They have put all of their hope into you. Right now, we have to be able to show our resolve as well with them. We can't afford to stand down now. No, we have to be able to go beyond, just like they can. we must be able to go plus ultra. So now, stand and show them what you are, All Might. Show them that you are the symbol of peace. You are the #1 hero. As All Might would stand, his body would now become completely buff once again. If he performed this attack, it might very well take everything out of him. However, he knew now that this was what needed to be done. He had to live up to his own mantra, to truly go beyond his limits. As the vestiges of One for All would begin to glow inside of him, All Might's body would take a white, glowing aura. As the Rangers were now starting to be pushed back, they would see All Might standing there. Well, it seems as though they are right. Do not worry, kids. You will not be alone in this battle. For you know why? Because I am here. Now, all for one. We finish this now. United States of Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, Virginia, Washington, West Virginia, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. All 50 states gathered together in the palm of my fist. Now, prepare yourself, all for one. All for One would put every quirk that he had possible into his fist. So, this is how you're going to end. If so, then it will be the ending of us both. All Might would now charge with the 50 states of Smash, as All for One would also collide now with his final attack, the vestiges of all of his quirks. As the two fists would collide, the aftershocks and explosions shooting on for miles, none of the other heroes could tell what was going on at this point. Rita, now feeling the full might of All Might's powers, would take to escaping from this dimension as quickly as she could. She would use what remained of the power cells from her interdimensional teleportation device. Her Goldar had been defeated. Her putties had been destroyed. There was no reason for her to stay now. All Might's power, it was monstrous, truly devastating. It was almost as scary as Lord Draken's. If they were to fight, there was no telling what the outcome would be. She would disappear from their universe altogether, as the other Rangers would be blown back by the power. It seemed as though everything was at a 50%. Right now, the fight could go either way. Neither hero or villain would be backing down at this moment. The other Rangers would be thinking of what they could do. That was when Deku would tell them to combine their weapons together. They would realize that their weapons could form one giant monstrous cannon of sorts. This would be for their final attack. However, this only worked for the core 5 Ranger powers. Melissa, however, would be able to use her own special cannon that she had created, as she, as well as Bakugo, Uraraka, Ida, Todoroki, and Momo, would launch their attack as well. It would combine with All Might, giving him a slight boost, as Deku would question if there was anything that he could do now. He would feel the green power glowing in his fist. He would decide that he would aid All Might in the final assault. As he would leap forward as All Might was starting to lose ground slightly, Deku would charge all the fire that he could into his fist, his now right hand being glowing in the green flame. As he would stand beside All Might, he would yell from the depths of his heart, "Inferno! Smash!" as he would send out his own burst of energy, green sparks colliding along with All Might in his glowing white, as the two of them swirled together, combining as one. All for One was now in shock of what was happening. These children, these brats, it was seemingly getting the best of him. What could he do now? He could feel it slipping away. He could feel that it was starting to become too much for him. He could feel that his end was coming. Shigaraki would look on, as All for One would send a message to Kurogiri to warp him and all of the other villains out of there. Kurogiri would do as he was told, as Shigaraki would reach out for All for One. He would yell to his master to let him stay and fight. However, All for One would look at him with a smile, telling him that his time had not yet come, and that even if this was the end for him here, he would always live within him. With that, he would give him a final smile as Shigaraki would disappear into the warp gate. However, his eyes would come across one hero in particular, the Green Ranger, the bane of his existence. Shigaraki would swear within his own heart that the day would come when he would destroy him once and for all. In a great flash, the battle would be over. All for One would be defeated. All Might would be standing tall. However, he would not be by himself. The Green Ranger would have his fist in the air right beside the number one hero. The two of them standing together. The crowds from all around Japan and around the world would begin to cheer for their victory. However, now there was more excitement than ever before. Not just that All Might had done the impossible, and that he had managed to defeat such a powerful villain, but who were these colorful heroes? Everyone was now interested. Everyone was picking out their favorites. Some liked the Pink Ranger, some liked the yellow, or the blue, or the red, or the black, or the white, and then there was the Green Ranger, who was able to stand next to All Might. Who were these kids? Did they go to UA? Wow, UA must be creating some really powerful heroes if they can fight with All Might. Even Mr. Aizawa was getting looks as well, as many were wondering who that ninja-like ranger was. Everyone would be taken to the hospital immediately, as there would be the aftermath and everything else to deal with. School would be shut down for a bit, as now many things had to be gone over and discussed in the meantime. As everyone would be recovering, some of the teachers and staff would be speaking as well. After the battle, All Might had deflated, and the world had now seen his more skinny form, believing that it must have been a side effect from his fight, now not knowing if All Might would be able to continue on as a hero, and that did give pause for concern. All Might even had to admit himself, while he tried to keep up appearances, his body was simply at a point where he couldn't fight like that ever again. He wasn't sure of what he should do now. However, from everything that he had seen, he felt as though he might have been able to find someone who could take his place. There were many heroes who are worthy of one for all. And now he thought that maybe he could make his choice. Before the Rangers were discharged from the hospital, they would all be gathered together as they would meet with Mr. Aizawa, as well as Principal Nezu. Under normal circumstances, you all should be expelled for what you did. That's what I'd want to say. But truth be told, I don't know if we could have won that fight without your help. Again, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't listen to your superiors when we tell you what to do. After all, we do so for your safety. Yes, but all the same, it seems as though the shifting tide in the world and power is now starting to change. Well, what do you mean by that, sir? Deku would ask, as his body was still wrapped up and bandaged a bit from a few of the burns from his fire-like quirk. Well, you see, from what we've been able to gather, all 7 of you are truly capable heroes. And that's why we've decided that we're going to allow you all to be given provisional license. Wait, really? All 7 of us? I had no idea. But why the promotion? Well, it's just from the optics. It's not that we're trying to show special favor. And if you want, you can still participate in the exam for the exam's sake. But in all truth and fairness, from what you've been able to display, how much your skills have improved since you became Rangers little over 8 months ago, well, it just seems like it would be the most likeliest fit. That, and in all likelihood, we don't know what other threats might be coming for us in the future. In all truth, we want to avoid any kind of bureaucracy that may envelop us at any given time, to justify the reasons for why you might have to use your powers. Now keep in mind, these provisional licenses aren't going to be full license right off the bat. They're going to be kind of like in a rookie state, and we can decide if you'll get the full-on pro or not. But however, we don't know what threats might be coming from this world or the next, and we can't afford to take those kind of chances. That's why we're allowing you to have your provisional license now, since we never know what threat might come, and in all likelihood we'll need all hands on deck for when the fight starts. Ah, I see. However, there is another thing that we need to talk to you about. You see, recently Alpha and I have been looking through the Ninjor database. Wait, isn't the Ninjor powers your ability? It is. You see, I have the ability to morph into Ninjor's form thanks to the data that Alpha was able to store before he was sent to this world with the power coins. However, the Ninjor database has more than just that of Ninjor himself. There are other abilities within it. In particular, there are 5 empty slots. Empty slots? What do you mean by that? Well, you see, we might have the potential to make more Rangers. More Rangers? Are you serious? I am. However, we don't know who or which candidates would be selected for these powers. From what we can see, you all definitely have the capabilities of doing so. However, we want to be fair in this. That's why, if we move forward with the Ninja Ranger Initiative, we're going to be creating a special team. It's going to consist of heroes from Class 1A and 1B. They're going to be a reserve group of Rangers. If we can get all the fighting power that we can, then we might just be able to stand a chance whenever Lord Draken should arrive. That's why we're going to be asking you all for your help. You're going to help us select these Rangers from Class 1A and 1B respectively. From here, well, we'll see where we can go in any future reference. At the conclusion of the meeting, the students would be discharged and would all go home. Not too long after, the dorm system would be put into effect, and all of the students would move into Heights Alliance at UA. Everything would seem to be going well in the meantime. All Might would stop by, not in his muscular form, but rather in his scrawny form, as he had now come to his decision. As he walked inside of the building, he would be looking for one door in particular. As he approached that door, he took a deep breath. For now, he was going to have to do something that would be one of the hardest decisions in his life. He had now selected the candidate that he would choose as his successor, someone he personally had faith in. This person would become the next wielder of One for All. This concludes What If Deku Was a Power Ranger? Heroes of the Morphing Grid, Part 8. As always, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is Power Core Productions and Podcastings that is to come out now and in the future. Now, you'll be noticing that from the cliffhanger, I'm going to be giving you guys a special opportunity. This is going to be on two fronts. First, vote who you want to have get One for All, because that is what we're going to be revealing in the next part. Now, it can be anyone, anybody you want to have get the power at all. Because you see, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to go through every video where you guys voted for who should get One for All. I'm going to tally up all of the votes, and whoever gets the most votes, that's going to be the person that gets One for All. So keep that in mind. It can be any one of the 7 Rangers. It can be Mr. Aizawa. It can be Mirio. Anybody you want. Heck, you can even have All Might keep the power if you really want to, although those will have its own consequences later. But you can vote for that as well. Also, vote for who you want to see as one of the Alien Rangers, as I have teased those powers coming up in the series. This team is going to consist of students from Class 1A as well as 1B, so that 1B can get some shine. While I do have some candidates already in mind, let me know down below who you want to see have the Alien Ranger powers. That way we can have a much more diverse and a cooler story. So make sure you vote for that down below, as well as voting for who should get One for All. But anyway, that's going to be the conclusion of today's video. I'm J1 Harrington with Power Core Productions and Podcastings, signing off, and I'll see you next time.